Yeah, you're welcome to today's session. We're on the third week, so 7 more weeks. And today is July 4th, so I said, let me wear my puffy here. All right, so on this third week, let me move this here so we can see the screen fully. So the topics that we're looking at for this third week, we'll look at linking AutoCAD drawings, setting up levels, creating grid lines, duplicating the views, adding color views, setting the view display, and then how to make elevations and sections from our drawings. So talking about it first, in the Revit interface, we have somewhere that we have one of those tabs on the ribbon that's called inserts, and there you can import card, and then we set our import units that we're using for the drawing. The drawing we want to import should be the import units that we'll set. And then we'll select the objects. And then when you're in Revit, you can manipulate the way that you see the objects, like if you want them to be visible or you want them to disappear. And then we set up levels by using the level tools when we bring our drawing in. So let me do this first before going to the next topic. So usually if you double click it, Revit, it'll take a while. So I think this will help to delay for other people. So Revit is loading. I usually put it on first, but I just put it off because I was practicing some things. So. Yeah, so I have this Enscape. This is a plugin that helps me to render directly in Revit. So from our previous classes, once we open the Revit, you can make a new project by going to models and then new. And then we select our units to be metric architectural since we are doing millimeters. And okay. So from the first 3 slides, we say if we want to get our CAD drawing into, so my workflow is I'll make my sketch, do my survey plan in AutoCAD, and then I will bring it into Revit. So I can go to, we said go to insert if you want to bring in an AutoCAD file. So in this insert, you can bring in so many types of files. But for here, we talk about importing a CAD file. So you see the import CAD. So if we click on import card, and then I have this Revit basics file where I kept the plan I want to import. So Revit tutorials, and then I have my floor plan. So set the units for that file. We set the units to millimeters, and then check where do you want it to come in, what level. I'm on level 1 now. Positioning it to place it automatically with the auto on. Or if we say manual, that means we can place the drawing by ourselves. So if I pick this, I leave it as it is, auto, and say open. So it will go and get that floor plan that is in that AutoCAD drawing and then place it in the Revit. And then from here, we can trace out our drawing. So this is for importing a CAD file. And so the next thing we want to talk about is using the mass to create floor levels. So the person that I learned this from, he does energy modeling. So when you want to make energy modeling at an early stage before doing your final drawings, what do we do? So if you come to architecture, that's where we draw, but we want to make a mass first. So we have the massing and sites, and then we go to in place mass. We want to create a mass from there. So it will always give this message. It has enabled the show mass mode and newly created masses will be visible. So most times in this, it will give it a name too. Yeah, so we want to start sketching. But we want to, before we do this mass that we want to make, we can make levels. Right now we have level 1 and 2. So for instance, if you want to work with where these things are efficient, you want to work on a high-rise building. If I go to my elevations, I can see the levels that are in there. So we have only 1 level. So I'll cancel it now, make levels first. So it has given us the first level. Usually the first level will be higher. So let me change this to maybe 3.6 height. Then to make other levels, we said, if you want to make another level in the elevations, like you're placing the level, then you come and draw on it. So I'll go to my architecture level, and then we can draw it in, or we can offset the level. So here I can say subsequent floors will be 3 meters. And so if I do that and click here and draw, I can draw the 3 meters. Or if you want to use the other tool, so Control Z undo, I go to level and then say 3 meters again for the height. If I pick this other one, if I click here, it will still give me the level. So whichever one works for you. And then we want to make a high-rise building, add some more floors to it. So what you can do for these levels is go to we have an array tool that can create an array of the levels. So we select one of the levels and then finish selection. And so if I click from here to here, it will give me more levels, but we have to first say how many levels are we making the array. So click on the array. I'm going to make like, let's say 7 more floors. And then I click here and click. So that way it will give me the number of floors that I want to make there. So when it's like this now, I can make the mass, the in-place mass. So if I make it 3D view, kind of, you'll see the angle of the levels. And then we go to massing and sites and say in-place mass. So it will ask for the name of the mass, give it a name. And then we always have this modify tool to create. Do we want to draw in lines? Do we want to draw shape? So the one I want, the font tool, is we can make a, just say we want to create something that looks like a concept. And then I'm putting this on level 1. So that first thing I drew was on level 1. I can pick another level to change the geometry of this design. So I've put a circle on level 1. I selected another level, which is the level, let me zoom in, level 5. So I can come here and draw, let's say like a square. This is like guesswork now. So, and then we go for another shape again, a circle, and then pick another level, let's say the topmost level, and then we draw a circle. So while you're moving, it will kind of want to orient you to the already existing shapes. So usually it will show this circle, is showing me the center of the circle already that we have there. So if I click, and then let's say we have the shape now, we want to create the form with these shapes. So I'll select this one and then hold down Control and select the other ones and say create form. So now we have this form. So you see all those high-rise buildings that have this form. So you can do the mass and then begin to divide them, begin to put in your fenestration in them. So if we finish the mass, we talk about how do we view the things that we draw. So your graphic displays at the base here. You can see it in wireframe, hidden line. If I click on shaded, it gives me some shaded view of it. Consistent colors, it will give you a different view. So if I'm still in this shaded and I want to change some things, we have also the display options. We must not take their fixed setting. So if we say we want to smooth the lines, want to see it bolder, and then apply. So we see that the frame, the boundaries are bolder. So if I select the form that we have here, now we have the floors, but they are not showing. So we can say, give us a mass floors. So mass floor, I'm going to select the first one, hold down Shift, and then all the others. So that once I tick, it will appear in all of them. And if we say OK, so it will show us the floors that are inside the building. So for this preliminary sketch, you can use this to go ahead and do energy modeling. You can use this to do estimates. So I'll show us how we're doing the estimate here. So once we learn this, I mean, maybe next time I can teach the energy modeling thing. So for here, we have the floors. We want to know what is the area so that we can then apply all those per square unit and all that to it, per square meter cost to it. So if we want to see the area of each floor, we go to view, and then under schedules and quantities, then you will see a list. All this list means that we can have all these kind of things in the drawing, and then we can calculate their area. It will provide you an automatic schedule of everything that's in the drawing that we have placed. For now, we only have a mass floor. So this is starting from A all the way to Z, right? So we go to mass, click on this plus. We want to know about our mass floors that we just made. So, okay. And so we have another box that comes up. What do you really want to know about this thing? It will also generate the things that we can inquire on what we have made. So I can say I want to know the floor area. I select it and I click on this green arrow. and I want to know it by the level. I place it here and I say, okay. So it would generate the area for us now. So if you look at this here, you see that you have a mass floor schedule, and it's telling us from level 1 to level 8, the area of the floor. So once we do this, we can export this to Excel. So if I go through that process here, I go to File, I want to export what I have on my screen now. And I click on the arrow. I want to make a report. It will say a schedule. So where am I going to save it? I'm saving it inside the Revit tutorials. So I'm going to call this one because I have an old one there. So save. I'll save it. To ask me, do I want to export the title, the heading? So this is how you make your own style here too. So the field delimiter is a comma. I can change that if I want. So okay. And then if I go back to my files, Revit tutorials, we said the mass floor 1 is the name. So I'm opening that now. And so you'll see that we have it, if you double click and then you see that we have the mass flow schedule here. And because I changed it to tab, it's putting them together. The old one I made, let me see, mass flow schedule. If I didn't save the changes here, so you can also see it in this way that we have the floor area and the level. And then if you want to separate it, you want to calculate the cost, estimated cost, you can also create another column and say cost, and then multiply these numbers by the costs that we have there to give you your total cost in this Excel sheets. So the next thing that we will talk about, if you've done the mass floor, so how do we create grid lines? So in this slide, you'll see examples of how we use grid. We have the grids in there, 1, 2, 3, vertical, and then ABCD, horizontal. So how do we make them? So there are some notes about the grids. So the grids are always perpendicular to levels and thus the ground plane. They are oriented vertically. The grid lines can be created in plan views as well as in elevation or section views. And when in elevation or section, only grids that are perpendicular to the view direction are visible. So grids that are diagonally oriented in plan view will not show up in the elevations or sections unless that specific view is exactly perpendicular to it. So the grids can be straight lines or arcs. So while looking at this thing, I saw that you can actually make the arc grids, you know. So if you want to make grid lines, so remember everything is opening in sections. I can close this, close the 3D, close the elevation. I'm back in level 1. So for these grid lines, because this is a circle, let me make a new thing. So file, new. I go to this architectural, metric architectural, okay. So in this new file, let's save this for grid lines. So grid, and I put the week 3, and then save it. So if we wanted to make grid, I don't know sometimes which one comes before the drawing or the grid, but let's say we're going to make the grids first. So click on the grid here under architecture. So we have architecture, under architecture we have grid. So once we click and end it, it's giving us the grid number 1. And so we make another one. This is 6 meters. So right click on it. If the command goes off, right click and say create similar. And so we can draw the second grid line. And I'm going to make a third one horizontal. And so when we want to do the Control Z, that moved horizontally. So if we want to make the vertical one, we see that we are on 1, 2, 3. And so this one is giving you 4. So all we need to do now is change this 4. So if I double click on it, I can edit it and change this to A. And so that when I want to go to make the next one, right click on it and say create similar. The next one will then automatically follow as B. You don't need to edit all of them. And you have your grid lines. So we have how we can duplicate views and then add callouts. So that callout comes from when we have a detailed drawings. We want to show a section, we do that. So with the subsequent classes, we'll make detailed, when we look at the walls and the sections of the wall, we can then make callouts of them. If we want to duplicate views, in this project browser, we have all our views. If we want to duplicate a view here, all we need to do is to right click on it, and then we'll have a box that shows up, and we can duplicate the view. It has options for duplicating the view. So you have a duplicate with detailing, duplicate as a dependent option. So let's say I want to duplicate level 1. So we see that you automatically create it and then make a level 1 copy, so that they both have the same things, and then you can use them in whatever way you want. Maybe you don't have crowded drawings, so you just want to show maybe the windows, you want to show the distance of the doors, like that. And so the next thing we have is setting the view display, and we have elevations and sections. So we say we have 3 types of 3D views: the default 3D view, the camera, and the walkthrough. The default 3D view displays an orthogonal view, and the camera uses a perspective view. So let me go and import that plan again and do the so delete all these grid lines and then do the grid, and then go back and see how we can see the view. So select all instances, select all instances in entire, and then I can delete this. So we want to talk about, we are importing the plan again. So we'll go to insert, import the card, and then we imported the floor plan. So with this plan here, I can make grids on it. So if I go to architecture and then grid, what I usually do, I find the center. So once you're at the center, you would see the triangle. And so I can make one grid line. So we said the horizontal is usually in letters. So make this A, and then create similar. And then we go to other walls. So let's say I'm doing the vertical walls. So with this one, I can't get the center. Let me leave that one and then go to the next. Or if we cannot get, usually I will draw the lines. So let me just show how I work instead of just ignoring it. So detail line, and then I can pick a line here and draw. So that way, if I go to make the grid, create similar, and then I have C, I have D, and then I think this should come. So this one will require, then I'll go to this one. Yeah, so once you're working and then it doesn't, it's not the place, you hit your escape button to redo that. And then I go for the horizontal. And so for the horizontal, we want to change it to 1, 2, 3. So this will be 1. And then create similar. Two, 3. And 5. So we have the grid lines. And so if we wanted to look, we said the 3D view, go to the house to click on 3D view. So we can see the 3D view here. If we want to look at elevations, the east elevation, north elevation. So you see that every grid that goes with that elevation, you can see it's perpendicular to that axis. So it selects it already. So the thing with Revit is intuitive. It's already programmed to select the things that apply to each view. So for the detail level, we say for all view, we should have the detail level selects the amount of detail that is displayed in this view. We should choose from the coarse, medium, or fine. The wall, floor, and roof structure, including material patterns, are only shown in the medium or fine level. So what we're talking about is this box here. We have the coarse, medium, or fine. So depending on the detail, if you were showing the frames of the wood and all that, they won't really show nicely except we go to the medium or fine level. And then families may be set up to show different content for each of these modes. So when you're making families, we have a model and we have families, and families are objects that are in the model. So when you start creating your own content, your own materials, you can set them for what they will show in each display level. So we have the graphic display option, the visual style, and it determines the graphic properties of the view and ranges from simple wireframe display, simple shading, or realistic visual styles, and only 3D views can be retraced. So the graphic display option is found here, where we have these already preset settings, where we have the wireframe, hidden line, shaded, consistent colors, and realistic. And then we can also come here and then do some more settings. So with these graphic display options have been helpful with me and my students, in the sense that you can render those elevations, going through all these shadow, sketch lines, depth cueing, lighting, realistic. So use that as your kind of personal rendering for the elevations. So we move to, and that's the last thing for the text part. So does anybody have any questions or comments?
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, you imported an AutoCAD file.
Yes.
Can you also import an ArchiCAD file into the Revit interface?
Okay, so if we come to the insets, it says import CAD, and then there's no ArchiCAD here. So if you wanted to move from ArchiCAD to Revit, what I do, if it's not an AutoCAD file, is if you save it as an image, you can bring that in and then scale it. You understand?
When you mean scale it, what does that mean? Scale it like how?
Okay, so let me look for an image now. So if I go online here and say, give me a floor plan, let me say 3-bedroom floor.
Do you mean saving it like a JPEG or whatever?
Yeah, so it's going to be a picture. So save it as an image from ArchiCAD. And then if you had your dimensions on the drawing already, so let's say we're picking a bedroom, let me see this plan. So I'm going to save this image as a 3-bedroom. Hold on, the zoom is making it slower. So saving it in Revit. Okay, leave the name the same, small house plan. I save it. So if I go into Revit now and say import, so let's say let me make a new file so that I don't mess this up. So file, new. So this is coming in fits, but I'll convert it to architectural when I am scaling it. Okay. So we have this new file and we want to import that image now. So we'll say insert, or let's say import image. So I have this image and it was a small house plan. Let me open it. So let's assume that this was the sketch, or this is your drawing, is dimension, because here we have the dimensions on it. This is a 10.2 by 10.6. I think 10 is about 3 meters. Yeah, 10 is 3 meters, or say 3.6. So length by width. Usually for me not to get confused, I can use one that has a length and a width. So 13.7 by 11.6. 14 is 4.2. So let's say this kitchen is 4 meters, okay? So if from here to here is 4 meters, scaling it is to make sure that this distance is 4 meters, and then I would have everything in my drawing to the size that is actually designed for. So here, if I want to scale this, I would first, I need to dimension, scale it by the dimension, let me put it that way. So I'll draw a line because it's a picture, Revit doesn't recognize it. So annotate detail line. I'll draw a line to show the edges of the rooms. And then, so if I check now, the dimension is under annotate, linear. Right now, what it actually is 9.5, okay? But we're saying that the dimensions from this drawing says it is 4. So I'm trying to scale it down now to that 4 meters. So if I select the image and then go to scale, I'm picking the distance, and then I'm bringing it back to 4 meters that I know that it should be. So I'm looking at my scale. I can type that into using my visual. Yeah, so right now, everything in this drawing is to scale. So I can trace on it. What I do is to select it and then pin it. And then when we draw everything, we'll find out that it's now scaled to how it was supposed to be. It's not just a picture now. We can tell that the dimensions are aligned to the design. So is this okay?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, so like I said before, the plan was to draw and then have some people draw and join me. So for today, this is mostly what I want to do. Unless if you have any questions about the formal ones. Okay, so I see a hand up for Madam Ronke. Please go ahead.
You know, it's not so much a question, but an advice for all of us. Maybe we should get a computer person who will put all of us under one single software, even though it will still be expensive, because I went there and the software is $3,000 and something.
Oh, okay.
Because if we're learning this thing and we don't have the software to practice, we will forget.
Yes.
I don't know if can we meet after our tutor goes off? It's 3 p.m. in your 3:30 in your place.
Yes, it's 3:30, yes.
So if we agree, we can meet. And we're 4. I thought we were 5 now.
Let me see.
Okay.
Maybe somebody looked up.
We'll look for more people then. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So with this, I can repeat to draw the walls too. And then if you have any questions while I'm doing that, let me know. So with drawing, when you bring them into Revit, you can pin the drawing. That means it won't move if I try to drag it. So if I hold down my mouse and move it, it will not move when it's pinned. But if I unpin it and then I click on it, I can move it around the screen. So I'll pin it back and then go to drawing the 3-bedroom. Instead, the first thing in all this place, we have levels. You can create the number of levels you want based on your style. So we have the sides. For these sides, we create the ground, that is the land. So in that, we go to massing and sides, and then we go for the topple surface. And then you want to check, do I want a flat land, which is the 0 elevation, or is this slopey? You can create a terrain that has contours with that too. So for the sites, we place points. It always takes you to the first thing that you should do. So we place the points and then check, and then we can look at it in 3D view. So if I close that, it will take me to the site back. And then for these sites, what do we want to see? So most times you're in a window, you might want to get a reference from another view. So if we come to these properties, we can set the view. It says the underlay is none. The view range, what do you want to see from this view? So I want to extend it. For the view range, you can set different things. Like, when we are doing those site plan in school, you can see a roof plan and then the building. So for here, the top is like 100,000 millimeters. So you can change that to cut the building to, if you want to see it through the walls too. So if I put 1, 2, and then the level below, you set it. Sometimes we advise the people or the students to set it to unlimited, depending on what you want to see. So if you click on this arrow, you will see something called unlimited. That way you can see everything that is in the view. So apply and then okay. All right. So here I talk about building pad for architects. Let's say you're doing a design, you want to create a 3D view for your client. So focus on creating the building pad and then doing the building. What are the steps to doing that? So we have our plan on level 1. I copied, you can copy to clipboard and then bring it to the sites too. So before doing that, I would unpin it. If I selected it this way, and then go up here, you have the copy to clipboard, you can cut it, and then you can match properties here. So I'm copying it to clipboard. If I go to sites, and then click on this arrow under paste, we can select how to paste from clipboard, align it to selected levels, align it to current view so that it's not pasting at a different place. or it's not moved from that one that is on top. So I'm placing it on the sides, but I'm telling it to align to that level. So here it's not showing because it looks like the land is covering it. So how do I see this thing that I've just pasted now? I'll go to my views, the way it's displaying the graphics. If I say wireframe, it will then show me that it has pasted it. So, but if we went here and then we look, we see hidden lines, it won't show it. If we saw the shaded, you can see it. So we want to be in wireframe, and then we can see what we have just, you can see the plan on this level. If we go to level 1, we can see it. So basically make your work faster, like you're tracing, use technology to make your work faster. So I have this here. The next thing I want to put is the building part that will do the foundation, the slab, the floor slab. So we said if we selected the what you call building pad over here, properties, whatever you select, you go to the properties and set it. We said before we do that, we should duplicate everything that we select. So when I duplicate it, it has one first, and then to keep renaming it. So if you don't start typing names, leave it that is number 2 there, and then go to the structure. We edit what kind of thickness do we want. So it's 304. I can make it 450 or 600. Most people use it on high buildings, right? So material, you click on the space beside category. So it will not just appear. You have to click on that space and then it will come up. And then we said we want to do concrete cast in situ. Okay. Okay. And then a third time here. So when I go along this line now, I'll get it. So I have to pick what I'm going to draw it with. Do I want to use box, all that, or the line? So when I use this, I can click all around this building that I have now. Is this on the same level? Maybe not. There's a line there. So maybe that one will a step lower, right? So I'm going around the building. So here now I'm seeing that I think I get that. So I can select it and then use my arrow to move it before continuing. So right click and I'm going to, okay, still with me here. So I just go to the line and then I continue. I'll come and close that place. If not, it'll tell me error. So click around it and close here. And so if I want to close this too, I can use the chamfer tool and select the 2 lines, and then that's it here. So if I use the green check, once ever you finish with the command, you tick the green mark, even though you won't finish it. And then I go to, if you want to see it in 3D again, we click on the default 3D view, that is the house. And then go to shaded. So we can see the contrast. You see that it's in the ground. So if I select it, I go to properties, the height for offset. So they are together. I use this to tweak what you're seeing, just like ArchiCAD when you're drawing ArchiCAD. So I will have a 600 depth. So I'm putting the 600 there, and then we bring up this foundation. So now we want to set our levels. If not, you keep on setting and toggling. So if you preset those levels, it will prepare them on those levels. So for now, we have the sites. We can see the site level. We have our level 1 with the plan. So you see that this slab that we made is covering that. Remember, I want to see, go to the wireframe so we can see the plan and trace on it. And so going to the east elevation is showing us our different levels. So we can so select this and select all instances here and move it outside so that it doesn't confuse me here. And so here we want to create our levels. We have our ground level 0. So ground level, and then floor. So would you like to rename the corresponding views? If I say yes, automatically it gives me the ground level there. And then I want my floor levels at 600. You want to create levels with architecture level. I can draw it in if it's on the line. So I come to this point and click. Yeah, so go back to level. I have that there. Now clicking, so if I click and leave the mouse, it will disappear. So I have to click and hold and drag it out there. So usually I would want it to be on the same line. So cancel this, and then I can drag it, I can move it from here to align with these ones. So Control Z, I can draw it and end there. So level from here. When it gets there, to tell you, and then you click there straight up. And then, so we have this to be the floor level. So I'm changing that to floor level. So we like to rename, yes. And so I have my ground level, floor level. And for this, I've always done just ground floor and level 2. So let's say we have the roof level here. And we want to check what kind of headroom do we want from this 0 to floor. We have 600, and so we are saying that 600 and 400, we have 3.4 meters. So if we added it, it should be 3.6 if we're using 3 meters. So you can also do that, and then it will move automatically. So if we want to put in the walls, we're saying the walls will be on the floor level. So go to that floor level. And then here, we're not seeing it. So we are on this level. We want to see the plan so that we can draw it. If you go to this properties panel, range base level 0. So I want to see my ground level apply. So I can see the traced part of it, but it's not showing me the plan either. So what I can do is to, let me see, go to wireframe. If that doesn't work, I'm going to copy the picture and paste it. So if I go to my ground level, select this, I can cut it because I don't need it on this level. So cut it with the scissors and then go to the floor level. Remember when we are pasting, so if I go to modify, we want to paste it aligned to selected levels. And then we're pasting it on the floor level. So, okay. So it comes here and it's sitting directly on that, the slab that we have. And so we want to work with this. We say we pin it first so that it doesn't move. And then we can now move to tracing out the walls. So I go to architecture and go to wall. If I select the wall, it will now bring up the properties of the wall in this properties dialog box. So edit type, we duplicate the wall and then give it the name. So whatever name you put here is going to follow you to the end of your project, because this will generate your door and window schedules, all that. So you give it the name that you usually want to see at the end of the day. So editing the structure, we can set the thickness here for 150. We can set the material, what kind of color do we want to see. So I'm picking clad white now, and okay. Okay, and then I can start drawing the wall. So with this, we have the center line option. That is wherever I click, that will be the center. Or I can do the finish exterior or interior. So that means I may click outside or inside. So let's see which one applies here. So we can see that the wall is sitting exactly on the plan that we have. So I'm tracing it out now. So if you had a sketch with single lines, you can use the single line option and then trace it out and then do your adjustments on it. So I have the outer walls for this. So if I came here, let's say shaded, and then want to see its realistic view. So for every view, you can set how you want to see, or I think the shaded one showed us more. And then if I go to the 3D view, it's showing me what I have here. So when I look at this, you see that it's looking like the wall is still too high. So why does it look distorted? So if I go to my east elevation, it's already open here. You can click here or in the click in the project browser or at this top here if we have opened it before. So we see why it's looking distorted. Our walls are not constrained. They are higher than the roof level. So I can select this and select all instances in entire projects. And then we say constrain it to that roof level. So I'm taking it to the roof level and apply. So this happened because after setting the wall, I did not set the wall height. So once you do that, you can adjust every wall. And then if you looked at it in the 3D, you would then see that, okay, it is all at the height that we wanted, which is the roof level height. So going back to that floor level here, and then we can trace, let me trace some interior walls. If you know how Americans do the houses where the exterior walls are thicker than the interior walls, I think we also do that sometimes if we have 150 and 100. So we create another type of wall and then edit type, duplicate it, and then say this time the wall is 100 mm. Okay, and then come and set the thickness to 100 too, so that it's slimmer than the other. We can change the materials. Over here, they would have different materials for exterior and interior. So let's say it was wood and it was cherry material that we had, and then okay. So we can then come and make the wall. So this time I will set the height of the wall to 3 meters, not the default 8 meters. And then as I'm clicking, you see that this doesn't work this way. So if I click here now, it's sitting on the wall. So you hit escape and then draw the walls. So I can do this section and then do the doors and the windows. So I hit escape and it went off. So I can continue. So the direction I draw with depends on where I pick. So I clicked up and it didn't work there. So I can come down and then click here. Go back here. So here. We have the master suite here. Okay, so let's say we have this section. We want to put doors like before. So click on door, edit type, and then duplicate the door. And then D1, let's say we're doing the entrance door. I use exclamation. So you can choose the function of the door. I want it to be an exterior door. Change the materials over here. You can change the panel. This is telling us that by default, it's a wood finish. If you want it darker, then you want to change the color, you can come over here and then pick a darker color. And we have already an image that was placed in it too. So you can also tweak whatever you have in there and then change the gradient. So I'm going to cancel this so that I don't change the setting. And then we go to the dimensions, important. So we can do 2:1 height and then the width of the door. So entrance door, maybe 1, 2, or since it's a single swing, let me make it 1 meter. And then okay. So if I come here, the door, I can place it here. We said when you place your door, you can change the swings by selecting it and clicking on the arrow to move it to the kind of swing that we want. So going back and in this way, you can use your tab on your keyboard to press to change it. I'm pressing my tab button now on the key, a tab on the keyboard. So we have one door. We have another door for the room. We have one for the toilet. So we want to create another door, edit type, duplicate. And so we can say this is a D, you can say it's a D1 too. So we can say D2 and then okay. And this one can be, the width can be 900. Okay. And then once you get to the, click on the door, you get to the wall, it will show us. So now I think we're still with the big door. If you want to select the doors, you can click on this arrow here and you would see all the possible doors and the ones that you created under the properties when you click on the arrow beside the name. So I'm going to pick D2 and come back here and then place it. So we have a third one for the walk-in closets, and this should be the restroom for this side. So another door here, edit type, duplicate, and then give that a D3. And we went as look whether 750. And so if I come here, it will let me place the door, and then I can change my swing to this direction because it's swinging that way. So if you look at the 3D, You can see the walls and the doors that we have put in here. So I can do the windows, and then after the windows, we can stop for today because we have like 10 minutes more. So floor level, for us to see the windows, if I went back to wireframe, you can see the windows in the plan. So for this kind of windows, what are the sizes? I go to my linear, but it won't work on the picture directly. So usually put the lines first, detail line, and then check the dimension of the windows here. So it's 900 mm wide for that window. So if I went to architecture window, we say once we've clicked on it, if you click on the arrow, you'll see all the available windows. So we have the fixed window, we have the casement double window, we have a double hung. So most times, if you wanted to use the casement, see the dimension 850 by 900, one by this. So if we pick this 850 by 900, it's already telling us that it's going to put at a sill height of 900 from the floor level. So let me see. I'm not changing anything now. I'm just going to place it. So the width is that's 900 wide, but the height, are we okay with the height of 850? Do we want to change it? So if I look at it here, I see that maybe this window is not as high as I want my lintel to be. So I can come here and say edit the, let's go to edit type. Family means you're building the whole window afresh. You want to change the millions, the glass, so you want to edit the type. And then we will duplicate this and call this W1. And then look at the height here. Height is 900, which is so this is kind of like a square window. So let's make it this 200, and then the height is width is 900. Okay, so you can see that it will just change it automatically in there. And then if we went back to the plan, which was at the floor level, so I set this tag once, and then now it's coming up. So I want to hide it in the view so that it doesn't repeat at this sketch stage. So I'm selecting it and I say create similar, so that I can go to the window bedrooms and then create this similar type of windows. We know that we have the living room, the bedroom. Most times my types of window will come from that living room, the bedroom, the kitchen, and the toilets, different types of windows. So if I've put them in the master suite, if I come to the living room, we see that the width is different. So I need to check the width of the living room window and then get that in again. So let me do that here. So same thing I did was annotate. We have detail lines. So we have detail lines and we have model lines. If you use model lines to show on every level, but detail line will only show on the place that you are working on. So I want to check the width of this window. I go to the annotate. So linear, we have the linear dimensions, we have angular dimensions, we have radial, diameter. So in this case, we're picking this one. And so it's a 720 window. So that way we can adjust, we can select this other window and then duplicate it. So edit type. And then if we duplicate it, then we can make this other type of window. That will be like a W2 now. And then we can then change the heights and the width. So maybe we want to make the sitting room windows higher, maybe 1.5, maybe 1.8. And then the width was 720. So I'm going to change this to 720. And then okay. So let's see what happens. We've duplicated it. So if we come to Windows again, architecture, window, we'll see that we have our W2. So we select it. And then if we come here, we can place that window, a casement window that swings out. So that one's looking smaller one. Let me see, I'm using those for the living room. So if we come to the 3D now, you will see that this window, the sill heights were all 900. We want to change the sill height for this type of window. So first change this window back. So while I was changing it, it's been moved to this other type. So if I click on W1, it will correct itself here. And then I'm selecting this one and I'm selecting all types in the project. So this was the double clicking that's taking me into family. So close it back. No. And then go back to my 3D view. So if I select this, clicking once and then right click and say select all instances in the project. And so over here in the properties, I can change the seal height to, so if I had 1.8 and my lintel is to be 2.1, so that should be 2.1 minus 1.8, that will be like 300. So that way, when I apply it and then come and look at the elevation, so if I go to floor level, I want to look at this elevation, I can come here and click and say, go to the elevation that will show me this view. I can see that they are all on that 2.1 level with this living room windows here too. Yeah, so I'll stop here for today and welcome any comments or questions and then conclude. I'll stop sharing.
We are good students, no questions.
Okay, thank you.
Patricia,
Yes.
I just want to say thank you very much for your time. Really grateful. Just like Sister Ronke said, maybe if there's a way we could get the software so that we could practice, because I know they say practice makes perfect. I don't know. Sister Ronke, what did you have in mind?
I agree perfectly well with you. If we had that software, all these things, we will really practice them.